All right, well, we'll get started. Welcome. My name is Erik Martinez, and I'm the host of today's webinar, Closing the Lead to Home Buying Gap. We have invited David Tal from Verse to talk about how you can improve the number of leads you close by qualifying your leads and increasing engagement to your top prospects. But before we talk about lead engagement, let's review what's happening in the home builder market. Traffic from home builder websites that Blue Tangerine tracks hit bottom the week of March 16th. Since then, traffic has steadily recovered with a 42% increase over last year through the week of May 4th. Notice that the traffic for this group of home builders was still 4% higher than last year at the bottom of the curve. Along with the recovery in traffic, there are visible signs of the recovery in new home sales through the middle of April. And Fannie Mae is projecting a strong recovery for new home sales versus existing home sales through the third quarter. If the Fannie Mae forecast is correct, new home builders will have an opportunity over the next few months to gain additional sales while the existing home market is still in recovery. And with mortgage rates just over 3.5% for 30-year mortgages and 3% for 20-year mortgages, this is a good time to buy new homes for consumers. However, while mortgage rates have declined, credit score requirements have increased, which means that home builders need to do a better job of qualifying leads. And now I will turn the presentation over to David Tal, CEO and co-founder of Verse, to talk about how you can increase new home sales from your leads. David?
Hey, how you doing? Hello, everybody. Thank you so much, Erik, for having me. It's a real pleasure, and I look forward to sharing with you all. And just a little bit about me. What I want to talk about today is really how builders can really close that gap. And it's all about how you communicate with your customers, right? And it's all about how you engage and qualify these prospects. As Erik shared, there's been an impact, but there's also been a lot of pent-up demand, and we're seeing that start to bounce back. Just a little bit about me. Why should you care what I have to say? I'm the CEO at Verse, and what we do is lead conversion. We have worked with the real estate and housing industry for over 7 years now. We have worked with tens of millions of those prospects, filling out forms for real estate agents, for developments, for property management, for everything related to the housing industry, mortgages. I'm a contributor on Forbes and a lot of other places and stages kind of around this industry. Was a contributor at the Home Builder Show, and this is what we do. We help businesses engage and qualify leads. And so what I want to do is share some of those wisdoms with you all, share with you what you can be doing yourselves to really help empower your lead conversion efforts. We work, as I mentioned, with a lot of the industry leading players, all of the big kind of real estate brokerages that you may have heard of, a lot of the biggest online lenders, Loan Depot, all these guys, Home Advisor in the home services space, a lot of solar, but real estate is where we got our start. And what we're going to be talking about is this whole concept of the lead conversion gap. And what we see as the lead conversion gap is that the gaping hole, the missed opportunity between when a lead is generated, when a prospect fills out a form saying, I'm interested in this development, and when your team physically meets with them to go tour the property with them and have a real opportunity face to face. There's a huge gap there, and that is what this is going to focus on. So as Erik pointed out, there's a lot of pent-up demand, and the rebound is imminent. Interest rates are super low. Orders have really started to rise since March. And builders need to be ready, because as the volume flows back up, and we're already seeing it. I mean, we work with millions of leads a month, so we're seeing those trends very directly too. You need to be ready to engage all of these prospects and convert them. And because there's going to be a lot of opportunities, there's going to be a lot of options out there too for them, and a lot of different incentives everyone's going to be throwing at them. So who gets to them first wins the day. So let's talk about new home leads. these are leads that are coming from all sorts of different sites, right? Like New Home Source and Zillow and your agencies and everywhere else, and your Facebook. And Blue Tangerine does an excellent job of helping with all of this. But what happens after a form is filled out? What happens after someone gives you their name, number, and email? If I asked most of you, you would say, well, one of our people gets back to them, gives them a call or two. In what time frame? How fast are you calling them? What happens to leads after hours? Are you not calling them to the next day? What happens to the leads that don't pick up the phone, since most people do not pick up the phone? Those are the conversations we're going to have today, and I'm going to share some strategies to help lift those numbers to dramatic new heights that will flow down to direct new sales for all of you. The way we see leads is leads are just a pathway to potential opportunities. Leads are people, and you need to engage them and have a conversation with them to move them down the funnel. This is the gap. This is the lead conversion gap where companies waste 30 to 60% of their opportunities simply by not having the speed to lead necessary. We've all heard about speed to lead, but not having the strategy to respond to leads quickly, to follow up with leads that don't respond back right away, which can be the majority of them, and how to convert them to that next stage in the funnel so you can sell them something, a property. Consumer preferences have changed. That is the big shift in consumer behavior. Back in the day, people expected you to call them. Now they get offended if you call them, and they can't wait to tell you to buzz off or to remove them from your list. But texting has transformed the way that companies can now communicate with consumers. Virtually every business that buys or generates leads, every business does a terrible job of engaging and qualifying those prospects. So you're not alone. If you think to yourself, man, I'm already behind because I'm not responding to leads quickly. Most of them only get a couple of emails and a couple of phone calls, and if we don't reach them, so be it. I don't even respond to people on the weekends. Whatever the case may be, don't worry about it. This is what most companies deal with. Half of businesses don't even respond to their leads within 24 hours. 40% of leads come in after hours and on weekends. This is natural. This is when people put their kids to bed and then they get on the computer to do more personal work and look at their dreams and what house I want to build or what house I want to buy or neighborhood I'm interested in. That's when people get off of their work, put their kids to bed, and go on and start doing research for themselves. So it's no wonder that 40% of leads come in after hours when there's probably no one in your office responding to these leads. And there's just massive opportunity loss. The statistics show, and these are statistics from Harvard, from Salesforce, they show that you are 60 times more likely to qualify a lead if you engage them right away in the first hour versus just a day later. And really, we all know you need to engage them within minutes. Within minutes. The average rep who gets a lead, you generate an interested home buyer prospect or home building opportunity, and you hand it over to a rep to get back to that person. They'll make a call or two, and then they move on. They move on. That is the majority of companies. And it makes sense because they get new ones every day, so they can't continue to build a backlog of deals they have to keep following up with on top of all the new ones. That becomes an exponential mountain. I'm coughing not because of COVID, but I had something in my throat. Not to worry, I know it's not contagious over Zoom, but I just wanted to point that out. Consumers want to communicate on their own time and terms. Text message, that is what they want. Not everyone, but 89% of them. So that's a good amount. Most businesses are not equipped to handle two-way conversational SMS. Conversational means you're having a two-way conversation with prospects, not just sending them a text notification or a text alert. 89% of consumers prefer to communicate with businesses via text. 90% of those text messages are read within 3 minutes. What is that? That is incredible power that we have to send a message, and 9 out of 10 of those messages are opened and read within 3 minutes, 180 seconds. 98% of text messages are ultimately read, compared to 22% of emails. This is almost 5 times more effective. And text messages are responded to 7.5 times more often than emails, and 60 times quicker, because people want to get that off their plate or they want to address it. So they might respond within a minute of your text. Whereas with emails, it could be hours or days or never. There's something about text that puts people in a conversational mindset to continue a conversation. It's like talking to them on the phone, but on their time and terms spread out whenever it's convenient for them to respond to any individual question or a conversation item. This is what customers expect: communication on their time, on their terms. And 87% of people aren't answering the phone anyway from your calls, from numbers that they just don't know. You're probably one of these 87% who just do not answer the phone anymore from numbers you don't know. So we need to adapt to those consumer changing behaviors, period. Now, SMS is not as easy as it sounds. It's difficult to manage two-way texting. You know, there's complexities. This is 24/7. People want to chat around the clock. With texting, it's a whole new technology platform. You have to integrate with CRMs and tech, and it can be expensive. And the only real way to make this effective without just people powering the whole thing and just following up with humans every attempt, which gets bloated and expensive and hard to manage, hard to scale, is to leverage automation and AI to initiate conversations and then have humans jump in to carry those conversations forward when people are responding. That is the ultimate balance, and leverage automation. Text platforms that let you drip a series of text messages to your consumers. And when they respond, only then, now your team is responding to responsive prospects instead of spending their time outbounding ineffectively. The benefits of SMS speak for themselves. We see 40 to 70% higher engagement rates with SMS, 40 to 70% higher engagement rates, which leads to 30 to 50% more appointments scheduled net overall. So if you are right now generating 100 leads a month, people want to buy whatever it is, you have 100 prospects and 20 of them you're scheduling appointments with, by starting to text, you can bring that up to 30 or more. And it is a dramatic difference. This is with the same volume of leads. We have seen companies more than double. We have companies that started texting and saw a 2 to 3x increase in sales from the same volume of leads. You have to remember that no one is filling out forms online for no good reason. There's bots and there's some junk, and there's certainly some people who are definitely just wasting time online. But most people fill out their form and give you their personal information carefully. And when we assume that they're just not interested because they didn't respond to our call or voicemail, we do ourselves a disservice, we do the consumer a disservice, because what's happening in reality, time and time again, we see it's not that it's a lack of interest, it's a lack of proper timing. And these are moms that are homeschooling right now, that are taking care of their kids and trying to work at the same time and clean their homes. It's dads that are trying to work and help with homeschooling and helping clean the house at the same time. You're trying to call them because you want to make a sale, but they got other things going on. And text enables them to communicate with you throughout the opportunities they have in that day, instead of forcing them to separate themselves for some period of time, which they're choosing not to do. And this was even before COVID, but even more important now than ever to understand those trends and those behaviors, and understand why expecting someone to pick up the phone from a number they don't know and then stay on the phone with you for some length of time just to qualify them is not the effective path forward here. The other benefits this has is sales teams are happier. I think your sales team would rather you not send them all 100 leads a month. I'm going to use 100 as an example. If you send your sales team all 100 and say, go hunt after these and chase after them all, think about how much stress and work you're putting on them instead of having them focus on closing deals. Instead, wouldn't they be happier if you qualified those prospects for them? So instead of dealing with 100, they're dealing with 30 or 40 qualified prospects with an 80% chance of transacting. And now you are equipping them to be super on point, super excited about every lead you give them because they know they've been qualified. You've removed kind of the junk, the non-interested parties, the scams, and you've set them up and teed them up with primed prospects that are motivated and ready to do real business. Conversion rates go through the roof as well because of this, and your overall lead gen costs drop as well. If you think about it, if you're spending $50 per lead and you generate 100 leads, that's $5,000 you're spending a month. If for those 100 leads you're getting 10 appointments, then really you're paying $500 per appointment, right? And maybe that works for you, but anyways, you're paying $500 per appointment. Now, if for the same volume of leads, instead of 10 appointments, you have 20, now your net effective cost per appointment is $250. That is what we mean by lowering your lead gen costs. Your metrics look a lot better, and it's far more scalable. Now you can deploy more money to generate another 100 leads a month, make it 200 to 300 leads a month, make it 1,000. So you sell out your community. So moving forward to closing the gap, what does it really take? Well, I won't go into the super detail of this. I am going to give you kind of an example that you guys can use, but we find that it takes a combination, a multi-channel approach of multiple text messages, phone calls, emails. What we do at Verse to convert about 25 leads out of 100, and this is just an example, but based on some real accounts, some are much higher, some are much lower. It really depends on the quality of the leads. We're not generating the leads. We are working the leads for you. We send hundreds of text messages. These are back and forth conversational SMS messages per combo. For every 100 leads, we send 674 messages on average. We receive a couple hundred incoming texts. The reason we send more is we do follow-up. When we reach out to someone and they don't respond, we send more follow-up texts. So we send more than they send us to get them to respond. We make phone calls as well to anyone who requests a phone call. And we save a ton of hours. For every 100 leads, we estimate we're saving our customers 76 hours of work. So it is a tremendous amount of work. We think of ourselves as online sales counselors. And I want to, although there's some of this that speaks to what we can do, I really want to make sure that you guys understand all the things you can do for yourselves without us. And if you never hire us and never, hire anyone, just things that you can immediately do to lift the boat. But an online sales counselor is a role that a lot of you builders already are familiar with or already employ. They schedule lead appointments, right, for your salespeople. They're supposed to respond quickly and personally. They provide information to the leads. They ask the right questions. They update the CRM that you're using to reflect any of the updated conversations, new data collected, things like that. The challenges are speed to lead, responding to leads very quickly, following up with unresponsive leads, and updating your systems accordingly. So what we do at Verse is we help amplify the power of your OSC, of your online sales counselor. Verse responds to leads within 30 seconds, 100% of the time. When the lead comes in, the Verse system responds to the leads in 30 seconds. This is something, by the way, you can do with a lot of your CRMs. You could send an automatic text, but we prioritize leads based on quality and urgency, so that we can prioritize them and make sure we're getting to the highest quality leads first. And we automate what can be automated. For example, we automate that first SMS that we send out. And I'm going to show you some examples in a second. But someone inquires, let's just say Erik inquires, Verse will respond right away to Erik and say, "Hi, Erik, this is David with blank blank home builders. We saw you were interested in seeing our new community. Would love to have you over and tour the property soon. Is now a good time for a quick call to ask you a few questions, or would you prefer to text?" So what we do is we automate that, but what we're doing is we're responding to the consumer quickly, and we're addressing exactly with merge fields and AI what it is that exactly they're inquiring about, and we're offering the consumer choice. Do you rather call? Do you rather have a call, or do you rather continue to text? When we do that, we don't come off automated because people let us know what they want. I prefer a call. Great. The people who prefer a call, we pick up the phone, we call them right then and there, and they pick up because they're expecting it now. Now they're expecting the call. The people who prefer to text, which is the vast majority, we can immediately continue and get to the conversation, the meat of it, of what we're trying to gather, and book them for a tour via text. What's the difference? We're trying to get a hold of more people and tee them up. And our system, as an OSC can do, our system automatically updates any CRM you're using. Any of the big CRMs out there, we integrate with already in the home builder space especially, and we can integrate so that when we qualify a lead or book an appointment, we can actually update those fields, book the appointment directly on your calendar system, etc. If you don't have an online sales counselor, we are essentially an online sales counselor service as a solution on demand. We do this for you. You point your leads at Verse. We integrate in a call, over one call, sometimes two if it's complex, but they're very quick. And we will start a campaign to engage those prospects, ask them any of the questions you want us to ask them. We build that into our script. And we become your SMS contact center layer. We also give them calls to the people who request a call. On our site, if you want more of a full demo, just go to verse.io/walkthrough with a little dash. But you could also just see right on the homepage, watch demo. So you can quickly get to this and see just basically a quick 10, 11-minute demo with a lot more detail. But what I thought I would do right now is just show you one conversation example. We have been doing a lot of case studies in the home space, housing industry. One company we're very proud to be working with is a big real estate search portal like Zillow called Movoto, which I assume a lot of you are familiar with. They're actually the 4th largest search portal in the country, behind Zillow, Realtor.com, and Redfin. So Movoto is just on Redfin's tail on volume, on lead volume. And Verse is a proud partner. We engage all of their home buyer prospects, qualify them, and hand them off to their partner agents around the country so that the real estate agents, salespeople selling homes, are focused on prospects that are ready to go, and we gather much more information. So I'll share with you a quick example of that. Hopefully you can all kind of still see the screen. You can see this if you go to verse.io. I'll just guide you guys so you can find it separately. But if you go to verse.io and you click on real estate, you can click here to see a case study. And this is with Movoto. And so Movoto is generating quite a high volume of leads per month, people looking, and they wanted us to help engage those prospects. So I'm just going to jump to kind of the conversation example here and share with you. So Sean came in to Movoto and inquired about a property. Our system automatically engaged Sean via text message within a minute. Hi, Sean, this is Alex with Movoto, right? We represent ourselves as a member of your company. Sean, we just received your inquiry. We just received your inquiry online. We specialize in helping buyers find their ideal property. This is all fully scriptable and customizable to you guys. We work on scripts with you. Would you prefer to chat via text message, or should I give you a quick call so that I can assist you? Very powerful question that we like to throw in there to give consumer choice. Again, remember, it's about giving choice. So we're giving them choice. They said texting was good. We actually made a few call attempts because they didn't respond, but they didn't answer. So they responded finally saying texting is good. We said, great, I'm happy to help with your home search. Have you had a chance to tour any homes with an agent yet? Notice what we're really trying to gather here is, are they working with a real estate agent, right? This is one of the questions that Movoto wants us to ask. Not yet, I'm looking to relocate around June, so I figured I'll start searching around now. So that's great, so now we got time frame as well. Sounds good, what's your price range? They gave us the price range and some more information. They want a finished basement, 2 to 3 bedroom, great. What general location are you interested in? And they tell us more of the areas that they're interested in. And they ask us to see it, and this is what we explain. We're not the agent, we're here to help you. What other areas? They actually went kind of cold. We follow it up automatically, still interested. We made a couple of calls, notice they didn't answer them, so they're kind of wasted, but we made them. We followed up again. This is now days later of trying day 3. Morning, not sure if I've mentioned this before, our team has access to all properties on the market. So we try to keep them interested. Are you interested in me sending you some comparable listings? Yes, you can. So we got back in the conversation with someone who had kind of gone cold. And so this is the power of what Verse can do. I'll stop there. we were able to save that customer, get far more information than their name, number, and email. We got what they're interested in, the neighborhood, the time frame, the price range, are they working with an agent, and we booked an appointment. This is a real lead, by the way. And for Movoto, we have been able to boost their qualification rate by 33% and lower their screening costs from their own OSC, inside sales team that's doing this qualification by 38%. And so that is, I just want to show that example. And I'll kind of go back to this for a second here. And so to kind of wrap it up here, some of the steps here that are important is, first of all, one thing I just want to say about this is that people leverage Verse not just for new leads, but for aged leads. If you wanted us to run a campaign, maybe you're getting a couple hundred leads a month for your community that you're building that you need to sell, but maybe you also have a few thousand leads already that you've marketed to in the past that you want to re-engage. That is a great use of Verse, to re-engage old stale leads and turn them back into conversations that we could drive towards a specific outcome, like getting them back on the phone with one of your representatives or getting back on a property to tour a new site. On your own, if you don't hire Verse or anyone like them, obviously you need to start texting. And there's solutions out there that will let you handle all of the texting. A lot of the CRMs have those capabilities, but you have to man those texts. Give the consumer choice. On that first text, give the consumer choice. Try to address exactly what they inquired about immediately. So when they see your text, it's immediately relevant. Hi, first name, right? Don't just say, hey there. Hi, Erik, right? You want to address them. You get their attention with their name. I just received your inquiry about blank, right? Super relevant. I'd love to help, right? You're there to help. You're not being salesy. Would you prefer to text, or can I give you a quick call? Giving the consumer choice. Now they feel it's a real human behind it, because it is. And figure out how to prioritize the leads that you can contact quickly. These are leads that are responsive. So if you're just waiting for someone to answer your call, you're kind of waiting on a one-way strategy. If you send them all an immediate text, the people who respond right away are automatically your priority. And so what you're doing is you're helping to prioritize your own list of prospects by texting them and waiting for responses. With Verse, we're doing some great things in the space, and excited to be working closer with Blue Tangerine to bring the solution to more home builders. We are offering pilots, so without huge long-term agreements, to show you what we can do to see if we can bring some lift. A lot of the companies we work with have a lot of leads, and they have some in-house staff that is handling some of it, so they want to start with us to just handle their nights and weekends leads when they're not there, when they're not available. Or leads that they just can't get a hold of, aged leads. A lot of we work with big, national builders that have communities around the country. Well, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to mention them, but we can start with one community at a time instead of all your communities. We can say, hey, let's take De La Playa or whatever community and start there. So talk to us. I encourage you to go on Verse, schedule a demo. It's a 30-minute discovery call, kind of consultative process. Our staff is here really highly trained, not to just sell to you, but to truly understand what it is you need. And we tell you if we can help or if we can't, very transparently. We show you exactly in your process, here's what you're doing today. Here's where we think we can bring a lot of lift. Let's run a pilot and measure it together. And the beautiful thing about your industry is that an incremental lift in conversion, in engagement, in appointment set leads to dramatic lift in new revenue to, for the consideration of the properties you guys are selling is very different. We're not selling toothbrushes here. We're selling homes. And so it's really a very powerful tactic. And this is why it's an industry we're focused on. That's why in solar, this works so well too, because the item is so expensive to buy that a tiny increase in engagement, even a 5% lift, can bring millions more dollars into the organization, into your company. we produce dramatic results. We're not here to add incremental lift. We produce dramatic results. We want to double your engagement rate and or more. And so that's what we're all about. And I look forward to any questions and hopefully to running some pilots with some of you and seeing how we can help so we can turn you into one of our next case studies and share with the world. Thank you very much, and I'll yield the rest of the time for questions and answers.
Thanks, David. Does anybody have any questions? You can submit them through the webinar app. While we're waiting, David, I got one question. I recognize one of our clients on the call, and they are actually a Spanish language builder.
Muy bien, muy bien.
Are you guys able to handle multiple languages?
So great question. For the record, Spanish is my first language. My mom's from Mexico, and I grew up speaking Spanish at home. Y es mi primer lenguaje y hablamos español en la casa con mis hijos también. I teach my kids Spanish. I don't speak them in Spanish. As a company, we don't have staff that's all trained to speak Spanish, so we cannot guarantee Spanish speakers. We do have some, and they are noted in our internal systems that we use. And so what we do is whenever someone, and this happens, whenever someone requests Spanish or starts talking to us in Spanish, we script in, hey, I don't speak Spanish, let me get you to someone in my team who does. And we do our best to pass them over to one of our Spanish-speaking representatives if they're here available and working that day and they're not on other calls and stuff. So we don't guarantee it, but we try to address it as best as we can as it comes. But if you only get Spanish-speaking leads, I wouldn't recommend us right now.
Great. I see a question coming in, and does Verse integrate with Lasso CRM?
We integrate with over 1,500 platforms, and I don't have them all memorized, but I'm pretty sure we do. It sounds kind of familiar, and if not, we have a whole integrations team full-time, and we can add an integration to anything within a few days. It's actually not very hard because we have an API, so the integrations happen very quickly between platforms, and then we look to expand. So if we don't have Lasso, we probably do, but if we don't, we'll add them over the next week, and then boom, now we have Lasso. So we look to keep adding ones we don't have.
Are there any other questions for David?
Oh, and Lasso, I was just looking it up on the side. They do have a Zapier, and we integrate with Zapier as well. So we do, I can confirm we can work with Lasso already. Any other questions I can help answer? Any great challenges you guys are facing with engaging prospects that perhaps I can help address or give more insight on?
So another question came in is, what is your recommended CRM to work with?
The best answer is the one you're going to use. There's complex ones or simple ones. Some people are more techie and want more functionality and dynamic abilities and staging, and other people just want the most basic. I would say if you don't have any CRM, start with the simplest one because it'll do 90% of what really drives everything. And don't overcomplicate your life. So start with simple and cheap and go from there. There's no shortage of ones to choose from. But we work with a lot of them and are friendly with a lot of them, so I don't want to recommend anyone over another in case they ever find out I did.
Okay, are there any other questions? So David, this question's coming in. What if the sales team is the one to jump in as an OSC?
Yeah,
figure?
so it's very common. Most companies don't have OSCs, right? Most companies are throwing the leads directly to their sales team. And we can become the OSC, the de facto OSC for your company. What happens when you're just sending leads straight to your sales reps is you're making them do two jobs: chase after and do all the closing. And it's very demoralizing when they can't get a hold of people, or when they call people and it's bad numbers, or people who can't qualify, uninterested. And you need to hire more of those people, the more volume of leads you generate, as opposed to keeping that part really lean, the lead engagement qualification really efficient and lean and scalable, and just passing through, letting leads fall through, and just sending the best leads out to your team, freeing up their time to actually do more with a lot less. It's about giving your teams leverage. And we're a very inexpensive solution. For hundreds of leads a month, we are probably the fraction of what you pay one sales rep, and we can supply an OSC function for the entire organization. And so I would encourage you to talk to us so we can show you some more details and how other companies are leveraging us to empower their sales reps. For companies that have OSCs, we've been replacing a lot of those functions, or again, giving those teams more leverage. For example, a big developer who has thousands of units being built and being sold at any one time, and thousands of leads, let's say, may have a staff already, even just a dozen people or 5 people, whatever it is, of OSC type staff. But what happens to the lead that staff can't get a hold of, which is most of them, because they're just calling and emailing? They send them to Verse. So we can create rules in that CRM that say after 24 hours or after 2 hours, if we have not gotten a hold of the prospect with our own team, send it to Verse. So we just get a percentage of the leads that you can't get a hold of right away. We keep following up with them and converting a far higher number of those for your team. So we can work in a lot of different customized ways. We're not a one fixed solution, one kind of what's the word? One size fits all. This is a real platform, and what we do is our sales team, they're called a sales team, but they're really strategists. They look at your funnel and exactly what CRM you're using. They're familiar with all of them. They look at the CRM you're using, what the funnel looks like, and what your team looks like. And then we let you know where we think, if we can. We don't always say we can help. We sometimes say we can't really help here. But if we can help, we will tell you exactly where. Hey, in this stage, as soon as the lead is generated, you seem to have a big gap. Right now, you're taking hours to respond. We're going to cover that and just send stuff to your team, appointment set. Or, hey, your team seems to be really well staffed from 9 to 5 and getting a good percentage of leads to engage, but you're doing nothing after hours and weekends till the next day. Let's start there. So we take a very consultative approach, and you are all a partner to us that we will mold a partnership around to help support, because we only succeed if we help you succeed.
All right. Well, David, thank you so much for the great presentation and the education on what you can do with Verse. If you guys have any questions, you can reach out to myself, Erik at bluetangerine.com, or David at verse.io, and we'd be happy to respond to any questions that you have about the platform or lead engagement, or how Verse could potentially help your business. We will be sending out a copy of the presentation, and we will be posting a link to the webinar as well. So we have recorded it, so you can review it again if you went. So thank you again, and have a nice rest of your week.